Are you feeling unlucky today? Well, you're not alone, as today is Friday the 13th, considered the unluckiest day on the calendar. But why is this? Well, joining us to explain is podcast host and author Jeff Belanger. Mr. Belanger, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Dan. How are you feeling today? Are you worried?
So far, lucky day.
Good. Yeah. Friday? How could any Friday get a bad rap? The end of the week, all that other stuff, but yet it does. Here we are, Friday the 13th again.
And why is today considered so unlucky?
That's not an easy, straightforward answer. It's basically a perfect storm of influences that come from various cultures and religions that formed to make this day unlucky. Only in our culture, by the way. In other countries and other religions and things like that, it's not an unlucky number, but it's also relatively new, this notion. Only in like the last maybe 150 years or so did Friday the 13th really start to cement as a dangerous day. We get a lot of our influence from England. England got it from biblical references. There's this story that Judas, who betrayed Jesus, was the 13th guest at the Last Supper, and that made the number 13 unlucky, and Jesus was, of course, crucified on a Friday, and then rose again on Easter Sunday. The problem is the Bible doesn't tell you what order guests arrived. So we have no idea, if Judas was the last guest or not. But there were 13 people there, 12 apostles and Jesus. So there's that part of it, and there's the Friday part of it. The Christian influence basically made Friday an unlucky day because for a long time, Friday was the day you fasted. Friday was the day you didn't eat meat. So it was one of those days where you couldn't kind of do whatever you wanted, and I think that was a big part of the Christian influence on why we're afraid of Friday the 13th.
And 13 itself is, as you mentioned, considered an unlucky number. You can see that in high-rise buildings and other things like that.
That's true. Now, triskaidekaphobia is the fear of the number 13. Now, I want you to think back to little Dan in elementary school when you were learning the multiplication tables. How high up did they go? Do you remember?
I wasn't good at math.
Come on, 1 to 12, like 1 times 1, 2 times 2, all the way up to 12. That's the multiplication tables that we all memorized, And 12 is kind of a perfect number. It's divisible by 2, 3, 4, and 6, and it's just got so many applications. There's 12 inches in a foot, 12 hours, is half a day, 12 months, in 12 hours in a clock face, 12 months in a year, 12, 12, 12 comes up again and again. Give us just one more, and it just throws us off. Once we get to 13, come on, I don't know what to do with that. So there's a little mathematical unluckiness with 13 as well, and that sort of carries true. And if you're into tarot cards, death has been number 13 since really the 1400s. So I don't know if there was by grand design or if there was some thoughts back then that this imperfect number of 13. So even the tarot deck gives us death as the 13th card.
And of course, we got to mention Jason Voorhees.
Well, right. So it was the early 1900s when people started to really talk about. In fact, it wasn't in print in the United States till 1913. I think there was a Friday the 13th in the year 1913, and that 13 coming up again and again. Started to say like, oh, this is a thing, and we know, Dan, right? Once something's a thing, once you like, if you ever break a mirror, you say, oh no, that's 7 years bad luck. I mean, are you really going to have 7 years of bad luck, or is it just in your head? And now that we've made it a thing, now that we've focused on this 13 and Friday the 13th, suddenly we're sort of watching our back a little more than we would, say, yesterday or tomorrow. And like you said, once that movie franchise took over, now it's a horror franchise. Everyone knows it, and it's just it's instilled into the culture now that Friday the 13th is a thing, and you got to watch your back.
All right, well, we're going to have to leave it there, but before I let you go, I just wanted to add that the Talking Information Center, they held their Starry Night Gala fundraiser last night, and you were kind enough to donate some auction items, and I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the Talking Information Center, those who serve, for helping out with that. It was much appreciated.
Oh, of course. Happy to help, and always great to talk to you, Dan.
Likewise, and have a lucky Friday.
You too.